Muri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare ipo pano paZimu-News update apo petinodai kupa mafirst hand update anogara ari kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. So zvandinogara ndichitaura pano paZimu-News update kuti VP Chiwenga munhu asiri greedy zvokuti dai vanga vari greedy 2017 vakatoti ndini ndapresident. So tiri kuona kuti mashoko enogara ndichitaura pano ndo ari kutaurwa futi naretired lieutenant general Winston Sigauke Mapuranga avo vari kutaura iwo kutoti no tisati tapinda munhau iyoyo muri yeZimbabwe ndo zviri kufaitiwa nemaopposition kutoti pakapinda munhu ari weak asina basa nezvakawanda then vanogona kumurwisa vakatora chimuti sezviri kuita kudzimwe nyika kuti vanofanira kuchinja mapresident panopinda Edgar Lungu ari weak akainde ichilema akatora chimuti ndo zviri kuedza kufaitiwa panapa kuti wabvise supreme leader munhu akauma musoro zvafanana naMugaba wangu akauma musoro ana Mnangagwa vakauma musoro ana VP ava vanhu vasina kuoma musoro vanogona kungoita ruonza no zvinhu zvakamira zvakadeso ndingadai tira kuvaka nyika so ngadai wanotonzwisisa vanhu vanonzwisisa usina pressure nezvakawanda ndofunga muchingoona kana maspeech aVP Chiwenga nezvese havatorina basa nekuita president chichimwa but vane basa nekuti nyangwe dai maopposition apinde zvinhu zvinge zvichinaka nyangwe dai ZANU-PF yacho inge iripo zvinhu zvinge zvichinaka kunoti kwanzi VP Chiwenga vane basa nekuita president havana basa nazvo because dai vangaine basa nazvo vakadinda president 2017. So tiri kuona pane mashoko akanyorwa pana Vasigauke. So ndichamawerenga pano ndozopinda mucomment section tichazoenda futi kune yedu yeZimu-News update iri kupakura mashoko ari kubva kuna ana Tendai Biti nana Love Momadhuku vari kutaura way forward kuti tinge tichifambisa sei. So tikuona pana pakanyorwa kunzi retired General Chiwenga is not greedy. When Zimbabwe stood at a crossroads in 2017 he didn't seize power, he handed it over. That is not a weakness, that's a leadership. Tiri kuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe ndo zvekutaura kunzi wakangohandla over. He could have taken the presidency, he couldn't have turned against Mnangagwa. He stays loyal. Tiri kuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe waMnangagwa ndofunga muri kuona kuna vasingazivi history yacho vakambotiza vakachienda nekumozambiki vakabatwa vakadzoserwa ndofunga makaona president Mugabe pepe vachiti ndokumbadonhedza nhasi yechichi chimwe bozi vakatoenda nekusango checheko zvinhu zvisinotombomira zvakanaka but VP Chiwenga vakatoti kukwanisa kuti wadzokere wanga siri munyika. So tiri kuona panapa pakanyorwa kunzi he couldn't have bold to corruption. He chose the principle. Retired Chiwenga showed restraint, discipline, and dignity. That's the make of a gentleman, not a triad. Zimbabwe needs a leader who save the dominating. General Chiwenga's legacy is full unfolding, but history will remember the men who stepped back when he could have stepped up. Tiri kuona pana muri yeZimbabwe zvinhu zviri kunetsa kuverenga ndina mouse kuti ndandichinyasa kuona kuti zvakamira sei bozi nditori kure nekombiyuta yacho. So tirarekedze tipinde mucomment section tione kuti vanhu vane miono ipi muri yeZimbabwe then tozoenda kunhaurwa yana Tendai Biti vari kutaura zvavari kutaura. So network yakamira seko, network inenge iri kuti netsei panapa, network inenge iri kuda kuti netsei. So regedzai tipinde mucomment section tione kuti zvingani. So tiri kuona panapa Ozi wakanyora kuti he has been a part of this ZANU-PF brutal system, shooting and killing defenseless citizens. He deserves every shit. He is getting hope. ED finishes him of ZANU-PF is rotten and he need a complete change. Tikuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe Melo ari kutoti but he was there when the billions from diamonds was being stolen. Tiri kuona muri yeZimbabwe ndofunga makaona ana comrade Bomshogeza vakazokumbira ruregerero vachiti no ana VP Chiwenga muri yeZimbabwe watori mumpava ndo second secretary webato reZANU-PF wangadai vari vanhu dai vanga vari vanhu vane utsinyika vatori vanhu vatoti ngazirambe zvakadai because watori mumpava ende zvakatova zvitori bhoko kwavari chichi chimwe hazvina kana pressure nyangwe kutonga kusvika 2040 nyangwe havana kana basa nazvo chichi chimwe but varongoona on behalf of macitizen chichi chandi mazoona ndo zvina zvingoripo muri yeZimbabwe. So tikuona pana panyo this guy is as corrupt as Mugabe and Mnangagwa and he is part of the problem. People must stop be fooled with these headless politician tiri kuona pana pamhuri yezimbabwe ndovambira zvakaita. He could have taken the presidency. No, Zimbabwe follows constitution according to section 101. The first vice president takes over until the next election is due. That was the biggest mistake that got us here. Simba atambidza mumwe murume. He created this mess. He must make sure idi aenda. Apo pakaita big mistake. Ukatambidza mumwe murume power chero pakaipa kare. Anomuona naIbrahim Traore akangotora wari wekokasa kutora makuu, wari kutotora wari wananga ari leader of the coup, ndiye anonga ari kutora chimuti. Simba aritambidzwa mumwe munhu chimwe uchiona uchazotora panorohwa chimwe chikiribidi. Ndofunga muri kuchiona chikiribidi chiri kurohwa ichi chimwe. Chiwenga anodya akanyarara chete uyu kikikiki no loud as his folk. If he didn't agree to all this is supposed to retire, why he is still serving under ED if he is against his corruption? Tikuona pana pamhuri yeZimbabwe. Ndofunga muri kuona hatizopedzi kumaverenga macomment section acho. Tira kuti tiende paZim News update pano tikupakurire mashoko ari kutaurwa naNatendai Biti naLove More Madhuku way forward kuti wachange wachizvifambisa 1-1.
To what has already been said, we are very clear that as Zimbabweans, we cannot have our constitution made by a few people, a constitution made for the personal interests of a few people. This bill has been rejected roundly, and you can get the mood in the country. The public consultations that are now described as parliamentary processes, as far as we are concerned, they are nothing but ZANU-PF rallies dressed up as parliamentary processes. We wanted and we had called upon all people of Zimbabwe to go to the hearings. At the time, we thought that Parliament would do the decent thing of at least providing some minimum framework for Zimbabweans to express themselves. And then by yesterday, which is the second day, it became clear that they are not doing that they are involved in something else, which is what you are saying. Only one view must be expressed. That is completely contrary to what parliamentary processes ought to do. So for that reason, we cannot continue to be part of this, mainly because it's not safe for anyone. In Harare, as you saw yesterday, all of us leaders, including everyone with some who are not here, you saw what they did to Doug Holtert. Completely in the eyes of the members of parliament who are supposed to preside over, completely in the eyes of the police, completely in the eyes of the whole world, because those things were beamed to everyone. Now, if they don't care about that, it means that it's risky for our members. And when we urged people to go in, we didn't think that it would be really a death trap, because yesterday we could easily have been seriously harmed. So that is for the reason. So we can't be part of that, but we know that Parliament has a duty to do proper consultation. And as our colleague, Honorable Timber has said, there ought to be, we are not giving up on this. We would not allow the so-called amendment to get through. It won't be the law of this country. Never, ever. We will not have that. So we'll adopt processes that will ensure that the people of Zimbabwe express themselves. And then we also challenge, we still have processes in the courts, and we are going to have other processes in the courts. Those things would happen. We would be working together. I think Tendai will talk about that in indicating how we move forward from here. But I want to be clear, as NCA, together with our colleagues, we are not going to be fed apart to these processes. So we have told our people not to bother going. Let it be a ZANU-PF thing. Let them do what they are. But I can tell you that ZANU-PF can never, ever impose its will in this matter. It is not going to be allowed. And Zimbabweans must be sure that that won't happen. Thank you.
And the CDF, there are other colleagues that are not here, and other organizations that are not here that are part of us. I think I want to emphasize the fact that we cannot continue legitimizing a process that is a farce, a process that is a shame, a process that has been clearly been hijacked by ZANU-PF, a process that has been so corrupted. We saw what happened in Bulawayo, at large city hall, at Ngeta, what happened in Chiwenga Aquatic Complex, in nema, in Kwekwe, in Chiretsi, and most importantly, the whole world, including new members of the fourth estate, saw the brazen violence, arrogance, and hubris of what happened in the City Sports Center yesterday afternoon. So we cannot continue legitimizing a process that is clearly illegal, a process that in any event was already rigged. In 2013, the constitutional making process had over 4,000 public meetings scattered across the entirety of Zimbabwe. They are conducting at most 6 consultations in provinces such as Mashonaland West, Mashonaland East, Midlands. And the figures and the data is that at most they are receiving 200 views in a province. That surely is not good enough. That surely doesn't meet the test. The Constitution is very clear in Section 141 and in Section 328. There has to be public consultations, and members of the public have to be given adequate time and opportunity to present their views. This is clearly not happening. So we are clearly disengaging forthwith. But as Jameson has said, we demand a proper process of public consultation that should be held in every constituency on a minimum of 5 days. So in our view, this process should extend way beyond the 90 days that end in May. This process should be inclusive. It should involve the church, the unions, and Parliament itself should be present to hear what the citizens will say. Obviously, we are now going to work towards building an alliance, a coalition, and broad alliance in defense of the Constitution. So we are going to work together and make the future necessary announcements in due course once the paperwork has been done. We will remain with the people. We will remain on the ground. We will remain in communities, but we also have our own legal options. And part of the obvious thing we are going to do is to basically ask the court to make a declaration that Parliament has failed to fulfill its constitutional obligation. It is a sad day indeed, watching the evolution of a grand coup that is set to create a dynasty and a monarchy in Zimbabwe. And the 3 organizations that are here, we reject that. And I want to emphasize what Professor Maduku is saying, that we will not allow ZANU-PF to steal our constitution. We will not allow ZANU-PF, essence of the liberation struggle, and we will not allow ZANU-PF to steal our dignity over our dead bodies.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I think our position is clear. The defense of the Constitution is now firmly in the hands of the citizens. I thank you.
It is very clear. We will demand a referendum. We don't take away a referendum merely because ZANU-PF is threatening violence. I think there's a view I've had, people saying if they can rig the public consultations, they can also rig the referendum. They are not going to be able to rig the referendum. A referendum is a minimum, a non-negotiable aspect. We've said it. So we'll get a referendum, whether through the courts or through mere action by the people. And we want a referendum. I also have heard the view that ZANU-PF actually thinks that these so-called consultations can substitute a referendum. Now these are separate. What is happening is under Section 141 and Section 328 of the Constitution, where Parliament must consult before it then sits to determine. So that's different. It's a consultation. After Parliament has finished, then whatever it comes up with, if it then adopts the bill, it must go to the people. So a referendum is unavoidable. If, for example, they decide that they take it to the president before it is taken to the referendum, then even better, because we will challenge that. We will get a determination that says this is invalid because there was no referendum. Perhaps the courts will give them an option to say we suspend that and then go to a referendum. So we are still demanding a referendum. I think Timber has made it very clear that disengagement in this case is just disengagement from these ZANU-PF rallies. That's what we are disengaging from. We are disengaging from ZANU-PF rallies. But we then continue on a very broad debate, people's process, which will ensure that we stop this bill ever becoming the law of the country. So a referendum is unavoidable. Perhaps if he allows the chair that, I should use this opportunity to make it clear that there's so many arguments which are coming across, legal arguments, so to speak, which say that a referendum is not necessary. Or even one which is very strange, which says that a referendum is prohibited by the Constitution. That one I would describe it as the strangest of them all. Now, what you can say is, whatever the position, we will make clear ourselves that as far as we are concerned, a referendum is legally required in this case. And we'll take each other to the place where these things are determined. Ultimately, a court will have to decide between the arguments we are making and the argument that others are making. But I have no doubt in my mind, and we are all operating on that basis, that the ultimate destination would be a referendum, either through the legal process we get from the courts or through the sheer pressure of the people. The people in this country will get a referendum, whether they like it or not.
Just to add there that referendums, one is just removing the entrenched term limit provision. So if Mr. Mnangagwa and Parliament and anyone benefiting from the extension wanted to benefit himself or herself as an incumbent, then there has to be another referendum. So we demand our referendum, and as Prof. Maduku has said, there is no option, there's no alternative, there is no way that you can avoid these referendums. And their bill itself is aware that there's that obligation, which is why it says in clause 4.2a that notwithstanding clause 3.2.8, because they know that it's a mandatory obligation. So we demand our referendum. We demand our referendum if Mr. Mnangagwa and the current parliament wants to be a parliament in 2030.
Thank you. Also, that's it.
Mhuri yeZimbabwe ndo mashoko atataka kubatirai muzuva ranhasi. Tongojeuchidza noti kana uri mutsva usabve pano usina kusubscribe, kulaika nekusheya kuitira petinenge tichiisa mamwe manews update musazorasikirwe nezvinenge zvichiitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. Ndofunga muri kuona zvinhu zvacho zvakawandisa zviri paZim News Update. Ndofunga muri kuona ndiana Johnson Timber ava Zim News Update tingorana vamwe chete, kuna vanonga vari kuTwitter, isusu tiri kuYouTube. Saka tichingokubuditsirai zvekuYouTube nezvekuTwitter muchinyatsoona kuti zvinhu zvacho zvirikunyatswa kumbofamba sei. Ndofunga tiri kuona ndiana Johnson Timber ava vari kutaurawo maonero avo. Rigizei timboplay 2 minutes mumboone but time yacho manje mawana.
Like this does not change the fact that Parliament still has to make a decision. So Parliament can still say they don't want to be, irrespective of what is said. So this process is a process only of consultation. It does not change the law. Okay.
Opposition haife yakakurira ZANU-PF because muri kuona madivision acho waifa anotobatana mafanira mutoona nangonzora imo mwana komicha na chichi mukuona ZANU-PF ibato rakabatana cheche zvekubatana, so kuti vari kunde panenge paine nyaya cheche nyaya. So ngatisangane munews dzinotevera.